The topic today is mastering marketing is your key to successfully resign from PPO plans. Gary taught me and thousands of other practice owners to look at insurance write-off as a marketing expense. Why? Because you are giving up that write-off in exchange for that new patient. So you get a new patient, for the life of that patient, you are giving up half or 45% of what you would have otherwise made in the form of a write-off, in the form of a fee that's being fixed for you by the PPO plan. So today we're going to be talking about mastering marketing as one of the keys, if not the key, to successfully resigning from PPO plans.
Yeah, when you look at it at a very fundamental level, Naren, every dental practice on the planet needs to have a source of new patients. Every practice, whether you're at any stage of your career, a freshly graduated dentist, a mid-career dentist, a late career dentist, every practice has to get patients from somewhere. And one of the ways that you can get patients, you can sign up for PPO plans and be listed on their website. So when someone's looking for a dentist, they find your office and they find your way into the office. The downside of that is that you're going to be subjected to a tax in the form of a PPO adjustment. And that tax is today, as we're recording this, typically a 45 to 50% fee reduction. Any patient that comes to you from the PPO plan, you're going to be required to pay that 45 to 50% fee reduction. And that's a steep tax to pay. So from this moment forward, I want you to start thinking about your insurance adjustments, the difference between your usual fee and the contracted fee. I want you to start thinking about that as a marketing expense, because that's exactly what you're doing. You're paying, and I'm going to go ahead and name the 5,000-pound gorilla. Is it okay if I do that, Naren?
Yes.
You're paying Delta a 45 to 50% tax to supply you with patients. A much better way to do that, at least better for you, not for Delta, but for you, would be to find a different source of new patients. Instead of using Delta as your source of new patients, I have an idea. Oh, I know this one, Naren. Let's use Google as a source for new patients. Now, right now, I just heard in my figurative imagination a bunch of light bulbs go off by those listening to this podcast. Did you hear that, Naren?
Yes, I did.
Because really, doctor, where would you rather get your patients from? Google or Delta? And remember that if you get it from Delta, you're paying a 45 to 50% tax. Take as long as you like. Oh, you don't need much time? I don't blame you. We know the better answer to that. The better answer to that is Google. And you're going to accomplish a number of things. Many dentists don't know what they're actually writing off by being a PPO provider, because you've entered your contracted fees into your fee schedules. You don't know what you're writing off. And when you don't know that information, you can't make good decisions. It's like driving an exotic sports car blindfolded. That scares me. Being a car guy, that really terrifies me to think of that. But once you know what you're actually writing off, for example, a new client of ours in our coaching work, I'll use the examples. I won't use a name, but I'll use the example. And you can kind of think about how this relates to your practice. So this is a practice that last year collected right at $1 million. It was actually a little bit more than $1 million, but we agreed to round it to $1 million. A nice, strong solo dentist practice, $1 million. And I said, do you know what you're writing off? And he said, no, I enter my contracted fees and I have no idea what I actually have to produce to collect $1 million. And I said, well, would you like to know that? He said, yeah, can you help me with that? I said, yeah, we actually have designed a custom Excel spreadsheet so that you can enter some very simple information in. The spreadsheet can do the heavy lifting, and then you can determine what you're actually writing off. And so this was an office. I'll share the data. I won't use a name, but I'll share the data. They collected $1 million. 85% of the office's patients were PPO patients, and their average adjustment was 42%. That 42% was a little bit less than the 45 to 50 that we normally see. With those three pieces of information, the amount collected, the percentage of patients that were PPO patients, and the average adjustment at 42%, we ran it through the Excel spreadsheet to discover that this office, Naren, had to produce $1,537,000 in order to collect $1 million. Now, if you're just listening to this like out of one ear, you might think, oh my goodness, that office has a collections problem. You're saying they produced $1,537,000 and only collected $1 million? Well, no. They didn't have a collections problem. They had an adjustment problem. They were writing off $537,000 a year. Now, if you accept my definition of that being a marketing expense, they are spending $537,000 a year on marketing. 537. Now, Naren, I've been doing this for a long time. Now that the calendar turned, this is now my 44th year in the dental profession. I don't know any practice that's spending 537,000 actual spending in the form of, writing a check to the marketing company.
Yeah.
For $537,000 a year. But there are many, many practices spending that money all the same. It never shows up as an expense. These marketing adjustments, these insurance adjustments don't show up as an expense on your profit and loss statement because you're not actually writing a check to Delta. Delta actually takes the money out ahead of time. Now, this same office, let's fast forward to where they are today. They have successfully resigned from all of their PPO plans, including Delta. They are spending $15,000 a year on marketing. That's an actual hard number that they're spending, $15,000 a year on marketing. Not only have they become a lot more productive because they're continuing to produce their $1,537,000. So they've become more productive. Now they can collect that $1,537,000. And they only have to spend $15,000 in marketing to get it. Now,